Good morning, everyone. Clint McLaughlin here, Midwest Market Management. I've got Riley Sykart on with me here today. It is Tuesday, June 9th, and we have U.S. weather from a national yield perspective right here in front of us. Riley, we've been looking at the maps. Not to rub salt in the wound, but you look at the past 13 days of precip, you look at the next 13 days of anticipated precip, and you look at a corn chart, and it all makes a whole lot of sense.
It makes too much sense. It's hard to wrap your mind around how quickly the weather can change, but it turned the corner and it turned in a hurry. So with that said, I think we should just hop right into the maps. So first thing I do have, corn conditions came out yesterday afternoon. Nothing really different from last week, small changes here and there. The one big change, states on the borders, Colorado up 10, Pennsylvania up 16, North Carolina down 15. But overall, no changes from last week in terms of total percentage, so not much time to spend there.
Not worth noting, some nice increases in North Dakota, +5 there. From what I'm hearing, that is still a situation of kind of hit and miss up there, but I do believe there was some relief. They need a lot more, but there was some relief up there.
Yep, thanks for that. And then bean conditions actually down 1%. Missouri, Arkansas, southern states dropping. Indiana also dropping too, which is one that kind of surprised me a little bit. Talking with some guys out that direction, they actually got some rains that they wanted, but I have also heard southern Indiana is a little bit on the wetter side now too, so maybe that's contributing to it.
But the drops in Missouri, Mississippi, Louisiana, those I do believe to be, or Arkansas, excuse me, do believe to be from too much wet.
Okay. Thanks for filling us in on that, but overall, down 1% from last week, 3% behind last year. What the reality is, a 65% good to excellent rating on beans is still a really good number. So moving ahead here, 1 to 5 day temperatures. What we've been seeing for the last week to 10 days now is continuing. A lot of places in the 80s, northern states in the upper 70s, and then way down south and in Kansas, you get areas that are in the mid to upper 90s. So at this point, your really dry areas in the west, this is hurting them a little bit. But they've also had rain over the last 2 weeks, as we're going to get to in a minute. That's giving them a little bit of cushion before this is really causing major crop stress. So, and then 6 to 10 days showing a decent cool off coming. As we get into next week, temperatures in the 70s for highs until you get through about the Mason-Dixon line, then you get into the lower 80s. But overall, not a whole lot of stuff that is big and earth-shattering on the temperature side of things. Conditions look pretty solid there. So one thing I do want to point out, the drought monitor map, Clint, you and I were just talking about this before we started. I think there's some inconsistencies that are, I'm not going to say what comes into play with how they make their maps, but the one thing I would expect on this map come out on Thursday is a lot less color to be out there. So that was the one thing I really wanted to add, especially as you look in the south. I think every map we've looked at for the last couple of weeks have shown multiple inches down there that they've been receiving. So I fully expect some color to lighten up there. And then all the rains that have came and are continuing to come over the next week, I would expect a lot of the Midwest regions to be losing some color as well. So I want to watch that close and see what comes on Thursday. So looking at the last 2 weeks of rainfall, as you can see, nothing really new or unpredictable. We knew rain was coming over this last weekend. A lot of rain did come. I have talked to some people in the eastern side of Iowa that did have actually 4 to 5 inches of rain. So some regions are heavier and denser than what this map shows, but the overall consensus is we're in the early to mid June and we're getting rains. and temperatures are not hot enough to soak it all right back up. So the market definitely internalized that, and we've went down in a hurry. So I can't really add much to that, Clint, unless you have something good to fill in with that.
A lot of growing season ahead of us yet. It's only June 9th. That's what I have to add into that.
Okay. So looking in the 1 to 5 day, dry in the west, but more chances of rain in Iowa, Wisconsin, all the way through into the eastern belt. Mounts don't look extreme, so no thoughts of any flooding issues by any means. So all these rains are definitely beneficial at this stage of the year. So 1 to 5 showing some rains, not a ton. 6 to 10 day is showing some rain coming back to the western belt where they really need it. So that's really gets it hard for the bulls of the market to start buying again when the west that really needs rain looks like they are going to get it. So the overall consensus right now is there's enough rain in the forecast to keep overall crop conditions high and strong. And at this point, if all this holds true, you're getting into the 18th of June, and there's not really any extremely sour thoughts unless you go to those really dry areas out in the western belt. So from an actual yield perspective, Clint, I just want to put it out there that the thought of a trend line yield to even above trend line like last year, the potential is still there. So that's one thing that we really want to talk about. And then putting it all together, 1 to 13 day forecast, the amount of rain that shows up into this pretty much tells you all you need to know for today, doesn't it?
Yeah, where it felt like we were off to a cold, slow start, but when we flipped the switch, it seems like everything kind of just got to moving here, and we still need to continue to push some moisture into the Dakotas, in the western belt, and the eastern belt. They were kind of wet there for quite a while, so, and the delta could probably use a little drying out, but for the most part, I'm not finding any major holes in this thing.
I agree. So with all that said, Clint, those are all the maps I've got today.
Sounds good, Riley. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in again. Clint McLaughlin, Riley Sykard, Midwest Market Management. Thanks to Marcus Weather Group for providing the maps, and we will catch up with you on Thursday. Thanks a lot and have a good week.
This material has been prepared by a sales or trading employee or agent of Midwest Market Management and is in the nature of a solicitation. This material is not a research report prepared by of Midwest Market Management Research Department. By accepting this communication, you agree that you are an experienced user of the futures markets, capable of making independent trading decisions, and agree that you are not and will not rely solely on this communication in making trading decisions. Distribution in some jurisdictions may be prohibited or restricted by law. Persons in possession of this communication indirectly should inform themselves about and observe any such prohibition or restrictions. To the extent that you have received this communication indirectly and solicitations are prohibited in your jurisdiction without registration, the market commentary in this communication should not be considered a solicitation. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by simulated historical tests of strategies, is not indicative of future results. Trading advice is based on information taken from trades and statistical services and other sources that of Midwest Market Management believes are reliable. We do not guarantee that such information is accurate or complete, and it should not be relied upon as such. Trading advice reflects our good faith judgment at a specific time and is subject to change without notice. There is no guarantee that the advice we give will result in profitable trades.